pay close attention to question instructions. For example, sometimes the question will tell you that choose one word only. Sometimes it will say 2 words, sometimes it will say 3 words. Pay close attention to this. If it says 2 words, it's a very, very good chance that at least a few of the answers will require 2 words. If the question says you need 3 words, there's a very, very good chance that some of the answers will need 3 words to be a correct answer. So pay attention to the number of words. These instructions you'll usually see for summary completion or fill in the blanks or table completion, diagram completion. So make sure you pay attention to the number of words that are required. If it tells you that you can use a number, there's a good chance you will need to use a number. Make sure you use the numeral such as 3 and not the word 3, okay? Just because of spelling, it's easier to make a mistake if you're trying to write the word for the numbers, so use the numbers instead, okay? Now, another thing that you want to pay close attention to is sometimes you will see this NB, which means note by the way. You may use an answer more than once. If you see these instructions, the note by the way, you may use one answer more than once. Again, this is often for table or summary completions, which are very popular questions. There's a very, very good chance that you will have to use one of the answers more than once. I have never seen an IELTS exam where this is shown and they don't repeat one of the answers. So every exam that I have seen, when you see these instructions, note by the way, you may use an answer more than once, then at least one of the answers are repeated within that question. So again, pay attention to that. It's an easy way to make sure you're on the right track and to pick up some extra points. So again, these are just a couple of hints for the question instructions. Always make sure to read these and take a couple of seconds to look at these instructions. All right, just one more point to help you for answering the questions. So point number 3 is dealing with difficult questions. I know that some of the questions can be quite difficult and quite tricky to understand. So just slow down, take your time. 20 minutes is lots of time if you're calm and you're well prepared. So for difficult questions, there are 2 techniques that you can do, and this is going back to practicing before the test. So the first one is try to paraphrase the question. So just do your best. Use synonyms, antonyms, negatives, phrasal verbs, expressions, the best that you can do, and in your head, try to paraphrase the question that you're having difficulty with. This should help you to see it in a different way, and hopefully it will help you to find the correct answer from the passage. The second technique you can use for difficult questions, again, this is going back to critical thinking, is identify what question is being answered by the statement or by this part of the question. So identify the type of question. This simply means try to simplify, try to look at the question in a more simple or easy form. So is this question answering or asking a what question? Is it asking or answering a why question? Or is it asking and answering a how question? Often that's going to be an example. So when you look at a question carefully, you can often realize that, oh, this question is a what? What is the heading for this paragraph? Or what is the main idea of the paragraph? Also, you might realize that it's a why question. So, okay, this statement is an explanation. An explanation is usually answering some kind of a why question. Or you may realize that, oh, this is some type of example that's being given, and is it in the passage, is it not in the passage? So this is going to be a how. How do we see this? When you realize the question is a what, why, or how, it's much faster to skim read or to search for the answers, because remember, usually what information is at the beginning of paragraphs, why information is usually in the middle of paragraphs, and how information is usually at the end of the paragraphs. So you don't have to search so much when you realize what the question is asking you. Alright, so try these techniques for difficult questions. And now, just one last important piece of advice. When you're doing the reading passage, try to answer the questions, about half of them, without looking at the passage. You have 20 minutes, so this is not enough time to try to search for every single answer. If you want to get a score over 6.5, you have to try to answer about half of the questions in each passage without looking back at the passage. Flipping between the pages and the questions is not a good idea. If you're doing this for a whole hour, it will confuse you, your brain will become a mess, and then the writing section, which comes after, will become very, very difficult because your brain will be all mixed up from flipping around pages. So make sure you try to answer half of the questions without looking at the passage. So try to answer half of the questions without looking back at the passage. In a perfect test situation, you're spending about 10 minutes to read each passage, and you're spending about another 10 minutes to answer the questions and transfer to an answer sheet. So these are just some general rules about what you should do while you're answering the questions during the academic reading section of the IELTS exam. And now we will look at some practice and some examples. So we will be continuing with the reading passage Mountains of Ice. To review this reading passage, look at the first video in the series of reading sections. And the questions we'll be looking at will be yes, no, not given, a summary completion, and fill in the blanks. These are three of the most popular types. So we'll look at those. And again, these questions are for Mountains of Ice, which is passage 1 in the www.ahelp IELTS practice test book. So again, if you want more practice like this and more questions like this, visit us there. So let's look at these three questions and then use these strategies and some more specific strategies to answer these questions.